Hello, managers, and welcome to episode 2 of the 2016 BROhio show called Defense Commence the Running Back Takedown. I went with this title because this was a big week for defenses, and it was a pretty bad week for a lot of the running backs' health in the league. So, to start off, I have two special announcements. The first one is that if you have noticed, I've been pushing trades through immediately upon once I recognize them, and that is going to be something that I'm going to continue doing throughout the rest of the league, just because I want to encourage trades and encourage activity within the league. And for there to be this time period for trade vetoes and things like that, it really hampers down trades that could happen because people don't realize they want to make the trade or shortly before the weekend, and then they can't get in a last minute trade. So if it does seem like it's a fair trade overall, then I'm just going to push it through. And I will do that up until noon on Thursday for Thursday night players, noon on Sunday for Sunday players, and noon on Monday for Monday players as far as getting trades in before the games. My other announcement is that there's still two managers out there, you know who you are, that need to vote in the Best Team Name 2016 poll. And once those votes are cast, then I can award that trophy. And now moving on, we're going to go through the tits. So started off with our week 2 trade. We had a trade between Justin and Russell. Justin gave Russell Isaiah Crowell, and Russell gave Justin Chris Ivory. Definitely an interesting trade. Looks like Russell's trying to scramble and get some moves because of his poor week 1. And we'll talk about how that went later. Our injuries, I am going to update the injury credit reel here to show the new players that are newly injured. They're going to be like colored or italicized or something, so that those are the ones you can look out for, but I'm also going to put the other ones on there for completeness, and then I'm only going to talk about the new ones. So starting off with the quarterbacks, we have Jay Cutler, Andy Dalton, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Josh McCown. And those are all right now listed as questionable as far as what the teams assign the players to be. That's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to talk more about who's likely to play, who's less likely. Moving on, we have for running backs, we have Danny Woodhead listed as out, and then Amir Abdullah, Arian Foster, Rashad Jennings, Doug Martin, Adrian Peterson, Thomas Rawls, and Jonathan Stewart listed as questionable. And sorry to David, because all of your running backs are questionable now. Moving on to wide receivers, there's Doug Baldwin, Eric Decker, Tyler Lockett, Brandon Marshall, Braxton Miller, Dante Moncrief. That's it as far as the new ones go. And then the only new tight end injury is Jordan Cameron is now listed as questionable. And some other ones have gone from listed as out to listed as questionable. So those, if you saw your players on there, be looking for the news on those. And then the final tit is trophies here. So we actually have 2 trophies to award. The first trophy is to Mary Lou and Sarah. Congratulations on a big goose egg week. 0 touchdowns on your team this week. So I will be awarding that, as well as to Justin. Devil's Luck got you this week with 666 with Gurley, Floyd, and Walsh. So those are the two negative trophies week 2. So definitely interesting. No monsters. And now I'm going to go through a current trophy, like season-long trophy standings. Right now, the points leader for the bomb season trophy is Luke with 224. The points loser for the dead fish season right now is David with 149. not looking good with those running back injuries either. Right now, Nathan still holds the best week with week one, 122 points. Russell still has the worst week, week one, 59 points. And ironically, Nathan and Russell faced each other, and Russell got the worst loss at 63 points. And then with Russell facing the top player again this week, his points against most points against for the fighter trophy, currently at 238. He has a lot more points against than anyone else, and you'll see it later on in the video. And we do have Nathan on the line here as our special guest this week to answer a couple questions for us. First question, Nathan. You know, the West is looking really competitive, especially the Central Time Zone. Are you worried?
Yeah, Kyle, you're right. The West is competitive, but I'm not scared. I like the challenge. I think it's going to prepare my team to be even better. That being said, the Central Time Zone, if they had more depth, I'd be more scared. Luke doesn't have that good of depth right now, especially not in week 4 when I play him. Tom Brady will still be on suspension. Josh Gordon will still be on suspension. Um, the rest of his team is injured or looking to get injured. Not entirely sure how long Des Bryant is going to stay healthy. Same with Julio Jones. Matt Forte, I think he did phenomenal this week. He definitely did more than I thought he was going to. But I think that defenses are going to start to lock him down and force Fitzpatrick to his receivers. Fitzpatrick can hit those receivers, but we also know he has a nasty tendency to throw interceptions. So that's what the defenses are going to be looking for. They're going to lock down the run game and lock down Luke's golden ticket to beating Giselle over Tom's face.
Speaking of your team name, do you have any sort of, I don't know, little figurine that you think would be a good visual representation of what your team hopes to do to the Central Time Zone in week 4? And Nathan, you sat your tight end, Kyle Rudolph, this week. What was your thinking behind that? And are you worried that maybe those points will cost you a playoff spot?
Sitting Kyle Rudolph. So, at the time, I was ahead by 1 point. I figured that it was worth it to not chance a fumble, but instead go with the win I knew I had. And Kyle Rudolph ended up making 9 points, I believe. Those 9 points not really going to affect me. I believe I still have the highest combined score out of the entire league. So 9 points, not a big deal to me.
Okay, going through the matchup reviews. The first matchup is Kyle versus Zach. I outscored my projection by 34, and Zach about scored his. We had a close game with our quarterbacks both scoring 24 points, but my real success came from Graham Gano with a lot of points from the kicker slot, and Zach's injured Arian Foster putting up a 0 on his side. We both could have had a couple more points if I would have played Devontae Parker or if he would have played Randall Cobb. Moving on to Justin and Tyler. This was a really close game. It actually came down to tonight watching the Eagles game, going back and forth, seeing if Matthews or Jeremy Langford would put up more points. And the 2 touchdowns by Matthews and then the fumble by Langford kind of sealed the deal for Justin. Justin's big player was Greg Olson. His defense didn't do that well, only 3 points, and Melvin Gordon would have gotten him 11 more points. On Tyler's side, Matt Ryan with his late game big long touchdown was like 90 plus yards, put him at 27 points, and then TJ Yeldon only at 3 points. If that flex spot would have been filled by Travis Benjamin, it would have been plus 20 points for Tyler. So definitely kicking himself there. Next matchup, David versus Austin. David's team, like I said, had three big running back injuries with Adrian Peterson and Doug Martin and John Stewart. Luckily, he benched Doug Martin, so that wasn't as big of a hit. But with Adrian Peterson only getting 1 point and really the rest of his team kind of being lackluster, David only scored 64 points. But with Stephon Diggs on his bench, it could have been 20 more. Austin had an insane Broncos defense, got 2 touchdowns this week. AJ Green went from being like the number 1 wide receiver to only 3 points this week. And actually, Fun Chess outscored Green by 4 points, so that would have been the only improvement. And who would ever play Fun Chess over AJ Green? Moving on to Luke versus Russell. Again, it was a heartbreaker for Russell after making that last-minute move to switch Chris Ivory, get Isaiah, and still face the best team this week with Matt Forte, 28 points. Luke totally obliterated his projection. And with Amir Abdullah suffering a little minor injury, he only has 3 points, and then Devontae Booker would have put up 4. So 1 more point for Luke, missed out on. Russell, his quarterback was actually the most underperforming as far as what was projected. At Eli Manning at 12 points. Corey Coleman put up big numbers. So if Russell would have went full-on Browns, maybe he would have had a better chance, but still, Luke, man, 116 points, pretty big. Nathan versus Roger, both scored about what they were projected, but Nathan could have had a lot more. Like we talked about, he did not play Kyle Rudolph, and that was strategic after he had sealed the win. So he could have had 9 more points with Rudolph, and he could have had 11 more points with Giovanni Bernard in the flex spot. But Antonio Brown really struggling with only 3 points this week. This was the week of the defenses, man. Like there was, I think, like 8 teams, I think, that had 10 points or more on their defense slot. That's like unheard of. So really a big week for defense and a bad week for running back. But Nathan with the Cardinals, 22 points, pretty big. Roger, 22 points off Kelvin Benjamin, but that running back injury, Thomas Rawls, what are you going to do? At least he was smart and sealed up Christine Michael. But he could have had 8 more points with Devontae Freeman. And now, Mary Lou and Sarah versus Andrew. Both scored under their projection. Mary Lou and Sarah's best performer was DeMarco Murray with 13 points. Sammy Watkins struggled with only 2. Phillip Rivers could have had 12 more points over Russell Wilson's 11 and really would have prevented that goose egg trophy. So that's kind of a kick in yourself moment. And Andrew, big scoring Eric Decker this week, even though he might have a little hiccup as far as health goes. Mary Lou was really mad at Decker on Thursday night. So Danny Woodhead out for the season, so that's disappointing. Only 2 points this week, and then Torrey Smith could have been 9 more had that touchdown. I'm going to put up the current standings and actually added in a column here. It's the trending, so you can see kind of a quick overall view of which teams are headed up, which teams are headed down. A lot of this week's movement is just about like really close points because we're still all around the same point scores. Our lowest is 149, our highest is 224. But yeah, if you look at those points against slot, look at Russell's 238. That's like 40 more points against Russell than any other team. That's crazy. But hopefully the trending is kind of a nice visual for you guys. But final thoughts for this week. I just want to remind everyone about the best team name poll. There's still 2 people left. We'll see how it goes. You guys have a good one, and good luck in week 3.
That being said, I'm gonna be coming. Keep that depth that I have going. pretty baller. I practiced a few times. Be prepared to give it all you got. I'll catch you on the flip side.